Let's talk about the time I got kicked out of a TNA wrestling show. It was Bound for Glory 2009. It was in California. Flew all the way across the country for this one. I live in North Carolina, by the way. Um, went to Bound for Glory. The main event was AJ Styles versus Sting, which they made it so obvious that Sting was going to win. It was final curtain call. It just really became obvious that Sting was going to win. But let's just talk about the main topic of this video. Bobby Lashley versus Samoa Joe. I had no interest in this match, and let's be honest, I didn't have interest in many of these matches other than the Ultimate X match, which opened the show, which was phenomenal, as always, when it comes to Ultimate X. But it was out of the way. And then we get to Samoa Joe, which at the time was my favorite wrestler in TNA. My favorite wrestler since Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash was my favorite wrestler as a child. But Samoa Joe was my favorite when I became a fan of TNA wrestling. Out of all the TNA period of time, Samoa Joe was my favorite. Anyways, he was taking on Bobby Lashley, and they made this obvious that Lashley was going to win this match. Anyways, I wasn't too interested in what was going on, and I started fooling around with some people that were there. And I acted like I was going to throw a cup at Bobby Lashley. And of course, Bobby Lashley was the babyface. I believe he was the babyface. And I acted like I was going to throw a cup. And then somebody beside me said, "I dare you to throw the cup." And I said, "Whatever, I'm going to hit him right in the head." I never thought I'd hit him in the head. But on this channel, you can see the video. Somebody else recorded it. MB700, I believe is his YouTube name. He recorded it. It's a low quality low quality cell phone. I think he recorded it with a flip phone. But it's horrible. I had long hair at the time. But I throw the cup at Bobby Lashley, and it hits him right in the head. Bam! But let me remind you that this is a paper cup. It did not hurt him. So I really wasn't into what was going on. And when they told me to throw the cup at him, I did. I threw the cup at him, and it hit him right in the side of the head. But it's a paper cup, like I said. But part of me surprised that I was kicked out. But I think it was just security. I think if some of the ups at TNA knew who I was, I probably wouldn't have been kicked out. But since it was arena security, they just seen somebody throwing something at a wrestler. I also think the fact that he was the babyface played a part in it. I think if he'd have been the heel, and there would have been like more than one person throwing stuff at the wrestlers, because that's happened over the years millions of times. I wouldn't have been ejected, but I didn't really care because it turned out to be a great thing. Because I get outside the arena, and the radio group that was promoting the show, the local radio station that was promoting the show, had all these T-shirts that I guess they didn't sell or give away, whatever they were doing, and they had dates on them. And I asked them, I was like, "What are you going to do with those shirts?" And they said nothing. I said, "Can I have them?" And they gave me, I bet it was 1,000 T-shirts, and all had Bound for Glory and the date of the event, Bound for Glory 2009 on them. Sting's final curtain call. And then I got all the stuff they had up around their station booth, which had Sting on a poster, and a life-size poster of Sting. And I got all those posters, big Bound for Glory logo. I got so much unique, not merchandise, so much stuff, promotional stuff. It was freaking awesome. And I had to pay like $300 and luggage fees going home. But it was so fucking worth it because everything I had was worth it. And everybody tells me to sell it on eBay because you can't buy it. It's all stuff that you can't buy. And it's official Bound for Glory 2009 merchandise, even though it's not merchandise because it was never put on for sale. But it's official 2009 promotional items that was only made for the company to promote Bound for Glory 2009. But and it's a kick-ass story. It's a kick-ass story I get to tell y'all. So I'm not hating. I love it. It was a great experience, and I got while I was there, I got to see the Hollywood sign. Uh, I got to see on the on the way there. I stopped in St. Louis, so I got to see the St. Louis Arches. It was a great trip, and getting to see the arch and the Hollywood sign, two landmarks in America, was just tremendous. And that's my story about how I threw a cup at Bobby Lashley, got kicked out, and got a shit ton of merchandise out of it. All right, completely different topic. Hulk Hogan. Um, it's been rumored that he was in bad condition. Bubba the Love Sponge said he was on his deathbed. Um, his wife, Hulk Hogan's wife, has come out and said it's not true. I remember when Bubba the Love Sponge and Hulk Hogan were like best friends. So, the whole sex tape thing happened where Bubba the Love Sponge leaked a tape of Hulk Hogan having sex with somebody. That's craziness. But now Bubba the Love Sponge is saying that Hogan is about to die, and Hogan's wife has come out and he said Hogan's wife said he's definitely not in a coma. His heart is strong, and there was never any lack of oxygen or brain damage. None of those rumors are true. He's been recovering from a major four-level fusion, fusion, which is surgery with a long, healthy process. If you look it up, you'll see what the last 6 weeks have involved. Not just his spine, but also his vocal cords and the eating, breathing tubes that are clearing over during surgery. We've been in and out of the hospital to support that recovery. So truly, there's no need for the drama or panic some people try to stir up. He's healing, and we're taking it one day at a time with love, strength, and patience. Look, I I don't know much about what's going on with Hogan. His wife says he's doing all right. He had a surgery, and things got blown out of proportion. Hulk Hogan is the biggest name in this industry. There is no bigger name than Hulk Hogan. You can fight the case that Cena is. You can make the argument that that John Cena is. You can make the argument about any other guy, Roman Reigns, which I think is laughable. But you can make the argument about any other guy. But there is no bigger than Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan changed 2 decades of professional wrestling. Changed them significantly. Was the man in 2 decades in professional wrestling. In the 80s, he was the biggest babyface in professional wrestling. In the 90s, he was the biggest heel in professional wrestling. He did both. He did both. He is part of the most successful storyline in professional wrestling that has ever been told. That is the NWO. The NWO was the creative. He went from the hokiest character in Hulkamania Running Wild, um, Eat Your Prayers, Say Your Vitamins, to something completely different in the NWO, and he did both very tremendously good. Hogan is probably the worst thing that ever happened to TNA, but he is one of the best things that's ever happened to professional wrestling. And whether you like him or hate him or love him, I really don't care because Hogan is the biggest name in professional wrestling, and you have to respect him for that fact alone. There never has ever been anybody who's come close to Hulk Hogan. No one. No one. Hogan is it when it comes. He is what everybody in this business should strive to be his level of stardom. There's no one better. No one comes close to it. Nothing comes close to Hulk Hogan. His level of notoriety, his icon face, and when he passes away, it will be bigger than Michael Jackson. It will be absolutely huge, huge. I tell you, and it will be a very, very, very dark day on professional wrestling. When Hogan passes away, things will, because his footage from from WCW and the NWO days to the 80s and even TNA will be showed over and over and over and over again. It will be plastered on CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. It will be huge. I'm telling you, when Hogan dies, it's going to be one. It's going to be the only. There's no one else who can die that will be the same as when Hogan dies. There's no one, not in professional wrestling. And it's just unreal. I mean, Hogan, he is the Michael Jordan of professional wrestling. There's never going to be another Michael Jordan. There's never going to be another Hulk Hogan. Hogan did it the best. And I don't know what his health is, but I know he's not the youngest guy. So it's not hard to believe that Hogan has some health issues. But let's just hope the best for Hogan and hope the best for his family. Hogan's had one hell of a ride with his son getting in some trouble, and it's kind of sad. But Hogan is the biggest name in professional wrestling. Is he the best thing that's ever happened in wrestling? I don't know, because he's the biggest. So it's a hard argument to say he's not the best. Um, there's some other candidates for the best thing that's ever, best wrestler that's ever been. But I know Cena would come up. John Cena has to come up because he dominated the WWE for years. But he also dominated the WWE in a time when the WWE wasn't popular. Hogan did it when wrestling was popular, when wrestling was on top. And Hogan did it in that period. And he did it in not just one company, but he did it in two different companies. And all that put together, Hogan is the man. Now, I've talked about it 100 times, but I'm going to talk about it again because I truly believe it's a huge deal. The NWA and WOW Women of Wrestling will be featured on the Paramount new FAST free ad supported television channel. That's huge. That's huge. The NWA is getting so much more coverage. But then, second, the NWO weekly show Power will be available on the Roku channel starting July 29th. It is now July 12th. So this is just days away from them being on the 29th. This is absolutely huge for the NWA. I can't tell you how much I'm jacked up, how much I'm excited about it, to have another wrestling show that I can watch on a weekly event and talk about it right here on this channel, because I will tune in every single week and talk about the NWA, and I think it's a great thing. I'm looking forward to it. The National Wrestling Alliance has grown so much since Billy Corgan has taken over control. It's not all good. I think the production is not so good. It's presented in an old classic way that I don't know if I can really get behind, but I'm so glad for the NWA. I'm so glad for Billy Corgan. And he's done more for the NWA than anybody has in the past 50 years. Again, that is, the NWA will broadcast Power on the Roku channel starting July 29th in the US and Canada, airing Tuesdays at 8 p.m., which is head to head with NXT. I don't think that matters because I think they present two different products, but head to head with NXT. NXT Tuesday nights will be huge for professional wrestling. A lot of stuff for me to cover because TNA has a relationship with the NXT, so I'll have a lot to talk about when it comes to NXT and TNA and Power on Tuesday nights. I'll probably watch Power live, then go and watch highlights of NXT. Anyways, NWA Tuesday nights, 8 p.m., starting July 29th. And then, of course, there's the TNA talk of a TNA $10 million TV deal. $10 million TV deal. Talking about 52 weeks a year being live. Live, baby, live. Ain't nothing like being live. So, 52 weeks a year live, $10 million TV deal. Cannot get no bigger than this. It will be a game changer for real. Also, talk of TKO buying TNA Wrestling. Also, that would be a game changer. It would be very, very, very crazy for TKO to own the WWE, UFC, and TNA. But it's seeming like it could happen. I hope that they keep their own management and TKO is just the business money behind TNA. I think if this happens, it will be absolutely huge. But we'll see if TNA gets a TV deal. And then finally, let's talk about TNA Slammiversary. And what will surely be one of the best knockout matches of the year. Indy Hartwell will take on Tessa Blanchard. And this will be a barn burner. This will be absolutely tremendous. Tessa Blanchard, my favorite knockout, will take on Indy Hartwell. I think this will be tremendous. If Indy Hartwell wins, she becomes legitimate. If Tessa Blanchard wins, it's just another tremendous performance by Tessa Blanchard. Um, I, I think Indy Hartwell should win this match because she probably needs it more than Tessa needs it. Tessa doesn't need it, but it's tremendous. Then, the Elegant Brand versus the Inspiration. I'm not too big on these what I have called the ripoffs of the Beautiful People tag teams, both of them. But they're still gonna have a great match. Then there's Cedric Alexander versus Ali. This is gonna be tremendous. I got it partial because Alexander is my son's name, and I can't help but cheer for a guy that has the name Alexander. I know it's a stupid thing, but it is what it is. I can't help but cheer for Alexander because of that. And I think he's a rising star in TNA. I think he's going to become big. Speaking of rising stars, if you heard the TNA president talk about Leon Slater, he's huge on Leon Slater. And Leon Slater is facing Moose for the X Division title. I think Leon Slater could take this one. And the way they're building it is tremendous. The potential for Leon Slater to be the youngest X Division champion in company history versus Moose, who's potentially going to be the longest X Division champion in history. History will be made in this match. Either you're going to have the longest X Division champion of all time, or you're going to have the youngest X Division champion of all time. Either way, we're going to see history. Leon Slater versus Moose. And this one I'm tremendously looking forward to. It gets no bigger. This is what it's going to be about. They're going to tear down that fucking house in New York City. The Rascals versus the Nemesis versus the Hardy Boys versus First Class in a ladder match. A ladder match. You're putting the Hardy Boys in a ladder match. You can't go wrong. The Nemesis, First Class, the most charismatic tag team going today. First Class versus the Rascals, two of the most entertaining wrestlers going today. And you got the Nemesis, who carry the name, who like the Hardy Boys have name, have trademarks about them, IPs that are worth lots of money. And you put all this together, this match sets up to be tremendous. They're going to tear it down. Jeff Hardy's going to be doing swantons off the tops of the ladders. You know it's going to happen through tables. You know it's going to happen. This match is going to be phenomenal. They're going to tear it down in New York City. Masha Slamovich is going title versus title. The NXT title versus the Knockouts title. Title versus title. I don't have to tell you this is history. This is history making. We're going to crown one champion. This is going to be huge. This is a huge match. And then, it gets no bigger than this, folks. The match that, for once, and it's not usually this way, but for once, the main event. I'm looking forward to the main event the most. And in TNA, that doesn't happen very often. I always look forward to Jake Paul fights him when he's in the main event. I always look forward to any fight that Jake Paul's a part of. But this match, a TNA match, and I'm looking forward to the main event the most. And I can't believe it. Because they finally have sold me on a main event. It is Joe Henry versus Trick Williams versus Mike Santana, and I'm pulling for Mike Santana to win. It's not often I pull for baby faces. I usually am cheering for the heels, and I do like Trick Williams. I like Joe Henry's okay, but Mike Santana, I fucking love the idea that he's gonna bring it home for TNA wrestling. This match has me jacked. I'm so excited. Long Island, New York, the hometown of Mike Santana. This is gonna be huge in the UBS Arena. I know it kind of is predictable that Mike Santana could win this match, but also I don't know because they could be dumb enough to leave it on Trick or Joe Henry. So you really don't know who is winning. I know how big it will be if Mike Santana wins in New York City. It will be fucking huge, and it will be fucking iconic. It will be superstar building. It will be tremendous, and I will be freaking excited to see it live Sunday, July 20th from the UBS Arena, Long Island, New York. It's going to be tremendous. So if you're anywhere around there, get your tickets now on Ticketmaster because this one is going to tear the fucking roof down. Uh, and and there's so much more. The title versus title for the women's title. Alex Cedric Alexander versus Ali. Moose versus Leon Slater. The Elegant Brand versus The Inspiration, and Tessa Blanchard versus Indy Hartwell. There's no throwaway matches on the card. Everything is must watch. Everything is gotta see. Everything is I want to see. This match, this pay per view is gonna be off the freaking chain good. You have to order this. This is tremendous stuff. I don't really talk about AEW very much, but I do want to mention this. Dusty Rhodes now holds 4 championship titles as he captured the AEW TNT Championship at AEW All In Texas. He is currently also holding one half of the ROH World Tag Team Championships with Sammy Guevara, the son of Texas, and 1/3 of the ROH Six-Man Tag Team Championships alongside the Von Erichs. Let me tell you, I respect Dustin Rhodes. I love his brother Cody, and I'm glad he's being successful. He deserves it. Well deserved. Um, Good for him. I don't have much to say about the NWA. I don't have much to say about AEW. I meant AEW. I don't have much to say about AEW. I don't really care for the product, but I'm so glad for Dustin. I'm glad that they're pushing somebody other than a spot monkey at AEW, and I think it's tremendous what's happening with Dustin. I'll tune in a little bit and try to figure out more what's going on because I don't watch. I don't watch AEW. I think this got my interest enough that I might tune in. Let's talk about something else. Jelly Roll on SmackDown in the Logan Paul segment. What a waste. Jelly Roll, one of the biggest entertainers there are going today. He was put in this stupid segment. I don't think they accomplished anything with it. I think it came across like they had a Jelly Roll appearance and they were going to put Jelly Roll on the show, and they they had nothing for Jelly Roll to do except this stupid segment, and it came across as we just need to put Jelly Roll on TV, but we have no real reason for him to be here. And Logan coming out and saying that he didn't belong here as a heel. I got it. He didn't belong here because he was an outsider, calling Jelly Roll an outsider. I got it. I see where they could have tried to go with it. Because Logan's obviously an outsider, but Logan's good at what he does. Logan's Logan's really good. Now, obviously, y'all know I'm biased towards the Paul brothers. I'm a big fan, but Logan's good. And Jelly Roll, I listen to some of his music. He's a household name. This is the best you could come up with. It's sad. He should have been featured at a big major wrestling pay-per-view If he's only, I've heard he's going to do some quite a few more appearances. I heard Jelly Roll is going to be a mainstay in the WWE for a while, and I'll probably tune into everyone because I'm a big Jelly Roll fan. It is what it is, and I guess Paul, Logan Paul was saying Impulsive has got some kind of deal with the WWE. I hope so because I'm always for the success of the Paul brothers, and they're going to be around far longer than their careers in the WWE are going to be. Recently, Josh Matthews made an appearance on AEW All In Zero Hour. Um, I'm a big fan of Josh Matthews. I was a big fan when he was in TNA. I know he's a tremendous hard worker. He reminds me a lot of Jeremy Borash. I think Jeremy Borash beats him a little bit, but Jeremy Borash is somebody I'm a tremendous fan with. I was hoping with the WWE and TNA relationship that Jeremy Borash could come work for TNA. I always wanted Jeremy Borash to be the on-screen TNA Director of Authority, the role that's being played by somebody else right now. I always thought that Jeremy Borash should be the Director of Authority for TNA because he was TNA. He was the backstage interviewer, and I think Jeremy Borash would make such a good TNA boss, at least on screen. And I know a Biz works at WWE. I'd like a Biz to come work in TNA backstage too. So I have to talk about what happened at NXT Great American Bash. Santana saying he's going to bring it back to its roots, saying it was built on some great professional wrestlers. And I've been saying this all along. Santana does come across like he is going to bring it back, TNA back to its roots. He is the wrestler. He's the total nonstop action wrestler. He gives you total nonstop action. I think Santana represents total nonstop action wrestling. Joe Henry says he's on his way to redemption and that he respects Mike Santana, but he is not going to stop him on his road to redemption. See, there's two great stories here. Either Mike Santana carries TNA to its roots and brings wrestling back, total nonstop action back to TNA, or Joe Henry, the sports entertainer, who gets TNA featured at WrestleMania. But Joe, you lost at WrestleMania. You didn't win. I have to point that out. Not saying it's not a big deal to be featured at WrestleMania, because it is, especially when it's the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. But you didn't win. You lost. And that's not how I want TNA to be featured. I want them to win at big stages like WrestleMania. Mike Santana can be the guy who could win at WrestleMania. And then finally, Trick says, "Are you done, Joe Henry? Are you done, Mike Santana? I am the man around here. I'm carrying two brands." Let me tell you something. You then go on to say, Trick, that you're the greatest TNA World Champion. As of right now, that spot belongs to Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode is easily the greatest TNA World Heavyweight Champion. But Trick, good for bragging. Trick says he knows they are upset because he's got some help in the title defense. He says he don't need no help. And next week he's gonna whoop both their asses. He says it will always be Trick and A. No, it won't always be Trick and A. That's obvious. Um, but Trick goes on to sign the contract. This is great that they were doing this contract signing at the Great American Bash. But I'm glad. I'm glad this got featured. They're building towards a TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view at the Great American Bash, a WWE event. Then Mike and Joe Henry agree that they don't like they're one of them is going to win the World Heavyweight title at Slammiversary, and they throw Trick Williams through a table. Dark State interrupts, and they are in the building, and they come after Joe and Santana in the ring. They pair off, and two go after each man, and they hit the Toes Queen bomb on Santana. So they're building towards something with Dark State. But this was just a great thing to have TNA featured at the TNA's main event, featured in such a great way at TNA's main event to Slammiversary, featured at the Great American Bash. It's huge. It's a great relationship. It could be better. Obviously, I've expressed how I think TNA should be featured on Raw and SmackDown. But I'm glad that TNA is getting featured on WWE programming. In other news, Adam Cole cut one of the most heartfelt addresses to the audience at All In after relinquishing the TNT championship due to injury. I'm not really sure what the injury is. I don't follow AEW, but I tell you what, I went and I've watched what has been posted online of the promo he cut. It was tremendous. And I'm not even sure if this is a work or a shoot, but if it is a shoot, it's unfortunate. It's always unfortunate when someone gets injured. And good for him. This is really good stuff. But he said that AEW does some pay-per-views like nobody else in the business. Yeah, nobody else has more spot monkey moments than AEW. No one else produces more crap than AEW. AEW does not produce high-quality pay-per-views. They produce barbaric, barbed wire, insanity, CZW, nut job wrestling, or high-flying beyond stupidity where nothing makes sense and everything's about getting your spot and your spot in and for no reason at all. I really hate the concept of AEW. I hate everything that Young Bucks stand for. As far as their high flying, nonsensical, no storytelling, professional wrestling. That has a place in wrestling, but it's not what a promotion should be built on. I have said it time and time again. A wrestling promotion should be good storytelling, good sports entertainment, good wrestling, good action, good. It should be a mixture of everything. That's what makes wrestling great, is when it's a mixture of everything. I think that's what TNA does best. They give you good sports entertainment with guys like Joe Henry and Trick Williams. They give you great wrestling with Leon Slater and Mike Santana, and look who's at the top of their company, Mike Santana and Leon Slater. Leon Slater might be winning the X Division title at Slammiversary. This is what builds them, separates TNA from everybody else. And the TV deal coming up with TNA is everything so good at TNA. And if you tell me that AEW's competition, I'm laughing at you because they're not. Only because they have a mainstream TV deal. But as soon as that goes, that company's gonna fold like a sheet of notebook paper. There's no chance in hell that this company could go through any trials and tribulations that TNA has been through. There's no way they could come. That they have had. They're getting it now with the lawsuit with John Moxley and the craziness that he is. He should be fired. I said it time and time. I'll say it again. John Moxley should be fired. But it's crazy. It's crazy. AEW is a waste of great resources because Tony Khan has endless resources when it comes to money, and he has a good TV deal that he's gonna squander it. I'm telling you, he's gonna squander it. He's not gonna capitalize. If he's gonna capitalize, they would have done capitalized on it. But they grew their fan base to a point where it couldn't grow anymore. They've hit the ceiling, and they can't get no higher. Cody Rhodes realized it, and Cody Rhodes walked the fuck out. And slowly but surely, everybody who matters is going to walk the fuck out the front door because there's nothing left to see but the back door as you're exiting the building. Tonight is WWE Saturday Night Main Event. Man, wrestling is just hot right now. Wrestling's hot. And it's gonna, I guess, I've heard that it's going to be Goldberg's last match against Gunther. We'll see, right? Yeah. How many times have we heard that it's a wrestler's last match? Turns out not to be his last match. But it's, to me, as a WCW fan and everything Goldberg meant to WCW, um, it, it intrigues me. I'm interested. I hope TNA gets mentioned on tonight's broadcast. That's my number one thing. I hope TNA gets mentioned. I don't see how they could link it in, but I would like to see TNA get mentioned on Saturday Night Main Event. But we will see. Sting was backstage at All In, and it got a lot of people talking. Earlier, I was talking about how I got all the Sting merchandise when I got kicked out of Bound for Glory. But so I'm a Sting guy. I like Sting. I just don't know what he brings to the table. Um, and today, I mean, Sting's in the TNA Hall of Fame. I hope he goes into the WWE Hall of Fame so he can get acknowledged truthfully the way he deserves for his time in WCW. But I hope he gets in every Hall of Fame that he possibly can because he deserves it. That brings me to another topic. NWA should do a Hall of Fame. They have all the history. They can induct so many guys really quick right off the bat, and induct a lot of guys. The NWA should do a Hall of Fame. So let me scroll through how stupid AEW truly is. A death match, a Texas death match for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley defends against Hangman Adam Page. Now, who the fuck cares if Adam Page wins the World Heavyweight title? What the fuck? Who cares? AEW Women's Champion Toni Storm is going to defend who cares? Undefeated Championship, winner takes all. AEW continues champion. Okada versus AEW Kenny Omega. Champion Kenny Omega. And maybe I just, because I don't watch it, it makes no sense, but what the hell is this championship? Champion versus champion match? I don't know. AEW Tag Team Champions. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. Two phenomenal wrestlers. Against Christian Cage's stable. Christian Cage is also phenomenal. Sports entertainer. Great entertainer. Great wrestler. Good at storytelling. I love Christian Cage. I like Bobby Lashley, even though I was talking about throwing a cup at him earlier in this show. I like Bobby Lashley too. Vacated TNA Championship, we already talked about this. Um, Dustin Rhodes wins that one. AEW Trios Championship, men's Casino Gauntlet match, future world title shot on the line. Women's Casino Gauntlet match, future women's title. Those make sense. I like the concept of doing number one contender matches. Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland versus the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks absolutely suck. I hate everything they're involved in. And then you had 0 Hour FTR versus the Outrunners. I can't do it. That, it's just crap. I don't know how anybody watches this shit. I'm not trying to be a hater. I really ain't. I hope more wrestling is out there so more wrestlers can have a job working for more places. But every one of these matches is a gimmick. Every one. There's no just no like Tessa Blanchard versus Andy Hartwell. It's just a wrestling match. It's just a match between two phenomenal wrestlers. Andy Hartwell versus Tessa Blanchard is just a wrestling match. No gimmick, no freaking everything doesn't have to have a fucking gimmick. Some things can just be great. I don't fucking know. You build towards gimmicks. If you start off with gimmicks, you have nothing to build towards. It just pisses me off. I've heard that Tony Khan wants to do away with Ring of Honor being a separate entity, and he just wants to absorb it into AEW, and he should because it's already absorbed in AEW. Maybe do one night stand type shows, where where Ring of Honor comes around once a year, just for nostalgia reasons. But wait a couple years, even at that. He can bring it back for nostalgia reasons every now and then. But uh, and he could do people for one night contracts. Um, maybe get AJ Styles in on some of those. Bring in for one night. I know AJ's a WWE guy, but eventually he won't be. Um, a lot of people want to see AJ and TNA again, and obviously it could happen. If the time's right and the place is right, and I'm sure for AJ, if the money's right, and they're pushing for something like that, then AJ would probably go for it. I think AJ would like to do it, but AJ's old. He's old. He cannot give us what he gave us when he was in TNA. Even towards the end of TNA, he was kind of done. AJ's not going to be sliding under guardrails, hitting spiral tap anymore. Those days are over. So I think people are wanting something that there's no real reason to want it because it's like wanting Sting to come back and wrestle again. He's not going to be Sting versus Abyss. What we seen with Sting versus Abyss. It's not going to be great stuff like that. It's gonna be more like the bullshit you seen with an old man, decrepit, wrestling at AEW. Because I think TNA Sting had some of the greatest stuff he did was in TNA with Abyss. Um, but I digress. I do want to point out how big of a main event TNA Slammiversary is. I know I've already kind of touched on it, but the Trick Williams and Joe Henry and Mike Santana getting featured as a Great American Bash and their contract signing. It's, it's just huge. It's huge. It's great, great, great PR going into TNA Slammiversary to get featured on a WWE pay-per-view. And it's tremendous that they got featured in a segment on the Great American Bash about a TNA main event. And it's probably the biggest match in TNA history. It's it has the potential to be the greatest story that's ever been told in TNA with Mike Santana winning the World Heavyweight title, Joe Henry trying to chase his dream but not getting there. Because obviously, after Mike Santana can do Mike Santana versus Joe Henry, they can do that. They can do Mike Santana versus Trick Williams. There's so many options that can keep it hot, keep it going on. They don't have to stop. There's no reason that this won't continue to be hot continuously. Um, and Slater going for the X Division title, I don't really care for option C, but he could always do option C and come up to the main heavyweight division and shake it up because he's a whole new face in the world title picture. Moose loses the X Division title, he could then go towards the heavyweight division because Moose has obviously been a TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He could definitely carry the company again, or at least be a contender for the World Heavyweight title. They could put him in the world title picture. There's so many options. I would like Leon Slater to win, and then Moose come up to the World Heavyweight title picture, and Leon Slater to continue killing it in the X Division. Um, there's just so many different paths for TNA, and also I want to talk about there's supposed to be a new energy drink that's sponsoring TNA wrestling, and that's going to get announced at Slammiversary. A new energy drink. I can't wait for that because a sponsorship is always about putting more money in the TNA budget, and that really matters. Anytime you get money getting into the TNA budget can really make a difference, especially with TNA who doesn't have a TKO budget, the budget the WWE has with TKO. Now, I do want to point out that TKO is $3 billion in debt, and we don't know what that really truly means long term. But I think it could not be good. It could not be good for WWE. That's why I'm kind of scary about the idea that they would add even more debt buying TNA wrestling. But it could. But I know that if TKO buys TNA wrestling, their net worth will go up as a brand. Their value will go up as a brand. And even if they got resold by TKO, they'd get sold at a higher price tag, and TNA would be more of a mainstream brand. And for all those reasons, I'm for TKO buying TNA if that was to happen, because I think their value as a brand would go up because they would get bigger TV deals. And if they got another big TV deal, I think that it would lead to another TV deal and another TV deal. And like WWE, who goes from TV deal to TV deal, I think TNA would then be in that position where they could go from TV deal to TV deal, from USA to Fox to UPN, whatever, My Network TV, all the different networks that WWE's been on in the past, and it went from network to network to network. I think TNA, if they get on a major network, will then be able to do that because they left Spike in horrible fashion. They Dixie Carter got caught talking bad about the network, and it looked bad that a big boss like Dixie Carter was talking bad about the very network she was on, and it looked really bad. So if they could leave their next big network with on a positive note and go into a new network, then it could mean great things and be majorly different from when they left Spike, which was horrible. They left in horrible fashion, left with no fanfare, no notoriety, and they just went to the Destination America, which was dismal and everything. It's just this is completely different. It's a completely different era. It's a rising era of TNA wrestling, and could literally be the biggest time for TNA. We haven't got there yet because we haven't got something bigger than Spike, but there has to be something bigger than Spike TV, so TNA can be recognized as climbing the ladder again, because they did fall off. They fell off so hard that it's taken multiple years since 2010 to come back from their fall. But I do think TNA is on the uprise again, and that TNA has a shot to be a mainstream player in professional wrestling, because if they're not number two, they're easily number three, and they I think that they had the potential to be number one. I really do, because I think they have the best product. They have the best product. So if you heard about the TNA TV deal, you probably heard about the TNA president sitting down with media. They put out a press release saying they sat down with media through the 9th and the 10th, offering a range state of TNA wrestling headed into the biggest, most important live event in company history. Now, I truly believe Slammiversary is the most important event, coming on July 20th from the UBS Arena in New York City. I truly believe TNA is putting on the biggest event that they have in company history. And there's still one more Impact before that. There's still one more Impact going to happen before that. So there's definitely hype going into next week's Impact. The fact that TNA put a press release about other press that their president was going to commit. Man, they tried to draw attention to the fact that there's talk of a TNA television deal, and the fact that they're drawing attention to that TNA is actually putting out, hey, look, he talked about this, is is a tremendous sign that we're going. I hope we're getting an announcement at Slammiversary about a TNA television deal for $10 million, because if we get the deal at Slammiversary, we can start looking forward, and it will, whatever that date is, that TNA will go live for the first time, a part of the new TV deal. Whatever that date is, the countdown will be like the date to January 4th when they were going on Monday nights. That big build that there was going into that. It's going to be absolutely huge. The build going into that event, going into that impact. And I hope it's a 3 hour impact going into that first live show. I hope it's a 3 hour impact. I really, truly would love it to be a 3 hour impact because it could be absolutely huge. And instead of entertainment, I really truly hope it's total nonstop action. I hope most of your talking segments are out of the way and they feature a lot of total nonstop action wrestling. I really want TNA to get to its roots. It doesn't have to be that every week, but I really think TNA should get to the point and say, hey, we are the company where you see great wrestling ring bell to bell in the ring. And I'm so excited about what is in the future for TNA with this new talk of this new TV deal because they said it's $10 million, 52 weeks a year, and it's just huge. It doesn't get any bigger than this, and uh, Anthem Sports Group has done a tremendous job on, and I know that Access TV should be a push. Maybe Access TV can be the home of TNA Explosion, so TNA Explosion can actually become at the same level that TNA Impact is right now. Okay, I want to leave with these thoughts. I talked about a lot of wrestling. I want to talk about what my YouTube channel is about. It's about pro wrestling. It's about American politics. And it's about the weather forecast, especially during the tropical season. I live in North Carolina. Hurricanes are a real threat to North Carolina. I love talking about hurricanes, talking about the weather. So weather during the tropical season, maybe during tornado season when there's outbreaks, extreme weather, I should say, but more particularly during the tropical season. But I want to make this important. When I'm talking about wrestling, it will go in the wrestling playlist. Playlists really matter on my channel. I don't mislead. When it's about wrestling, it'll be on the wrestling playlist. When it's about politics, it'll be on the politics playlist. When it's about weather, it'll be on the weather playlist. My playlists are actually what they say they are. You're not going to see it on the weather playlist, but it's going to be about politics or be about wrestling. If it's on the weather playlist, the only way it'll be on the wrestling playlist is if a wrestler was on a weather broadcast. Something crazy would have to be going on. There's no crossover. I try to keep my channel divided. I know they say you should only do channels on one topic, but I really want to who my personality is. My personality is about the weather. My personality is about talking about hurricanes. And I love TNA wrestling. And I have an interesting perspective on professional wrestling. And I hope you subscribe. It really would mean a lot to me. Ring the bell for notifications. That's really what's important. I want you to continue to come back here and watch. I know this video is kind of long. I talked about a lot of different things, but I'm really excited about what's going on in pro wrestling right now. I'm really excited about the potential that TNA could get a major TV deal that could change the landscape of professional wrestling. The NWA is changing the landscape. They're going to be on the Roku channel. I'm excited about it. I think it's a big deal. I think it's really, really big deal. I think we're headed into hurricane season. We've already had one tropical storm here in eastern North Carolina. It made landfall in South Carolina, but we had some rain here. And so I think that we might have a major hurricane season coming up. I really hope that everybody understands my channel and likes what I'm trying to put out there and keep it 100, you know? Also, I believe in God. I really believe in God. I believe without God, I would not have made it. I would have died many, many times in my life. My favorite Bible verse is Hebrews 5:14. You'll hear me say it many times. Solitude is for those who are mature, who train themselves between the difference in right and wrong, and then do what is right. I believe in it. I think you should live by it. when you know the difference in right and wrong, you should train yourself to know the difference between right and wrong, and you should always do what is right, because doing the right thing is always the right thing. Because you know when you f up, when you mess up, it's not the right thing to do, so you shouldn't do it. Oh yeah, mental health. Mental health is a big deal to me. I I've had struggles with mental health. I'm talking, like I've said in previous videos, I've seen dinosaurs running around in the yard before. I was really, really out there. For the record, I don't do drugs. I wasn't on LSD, nothing of that nature. I just had some mental problems going on. And I was seeing things, hallucinating. I've been diagnosed with psychosis. And I have episodes where I hallucinate very bad. And it's not good. And if you've ever struggled with it, you have to know how bad it is. Hallucinating is no fun. It's nothing good about it. Um, I know people who hear voices. I never heard voices, never had nothing like that. But my sympathy goes out to those people. I truly, really, 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 really feel sorry for people who have to go through that with mental health. I had, I don't have much sympathy for people who do drugs. I because it's self-inflicted, and I struggle for mental health, and it's not self-inflicted. It's just a problem that I have, and I didn't inflict it on myself. It's really, really hard to deal with at times. But my life is good right now, really good, and I have nothing. I can't do anything but thank God, because God has given me so much. He's given me a wonderful son. He's given me the opportunity to express myself here on YouTube. He's given me great work. I work all the time, and I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to go to work and make an honest living for my family. It means a lot, and I get to talk about wrestling and the weather, and I get to talk about the things I love right here on YouTube. That means a lot to me. I'm glad I get that chance. I couldn't do it with each and every. I couldn't do it without each and every one of you, and I really am thankful for it. Uh, just you should love God. God is great, and if you don't know God, you should get to know God. And the Bible is the only way to get to know God. Don't believe what your local preacher teaches you, because preachers, organized religion, are only out for one thing, and that's money. They all want your money, no matter how many of them knock on your door or come to you and act like they're sincere. Organized religion is about nothing but money. Holidays are about money. Christmas is about money. Thanksgiving is about money. Easter is about money. It's all about money. And all the holidays are about money. Don't believe in none of that stuff. God doesn't support it, and you shouldn't either. God, God is great all the time, and He's never going to let you down. And remember, when you're getting let down, it's Satan. Satan is the one who lets you down every single time, and Satan will continue to live. And if you try to do it yourself, and you don't try to do it with God, you will fall on your face. You will fail. You will fail over and over and over again, and you will never succeed unless you put God in your life. You'll think you're succeeding, and the rug will get ripped out from underneath you, and it will happen to you over and over and over again. And one day, hopefully, you'll snap and you'll realize you need God. And the only way you, I mean, there's a reason why every football player thanks God. There's a reason why every successful person in this world thanks God, because they know they something took them to the point where they realized that they couldn't do it without God. So that's important. And you should thank God every chance you get. You should, without Jesus dying for our sins, we would have nothing. We would be nothing. Without my faith in Jesus and God, I would be nothing. I would, because all the times I failed, the reason I was able to get back up was because of God and my belief in God. I could always get back up. People talk about all the hate that I get, all the the bad comments I get, all the dislikes that I get, all the stuff I go through. The reason why it never phases me is because I have God on my side. And I realize that God's on my side. He can be on your side too. And that's why I'm able to get through all the tribulations. Because I know at the end of the day, when I lay my head down on my pillow, that God's already forgiven me for all my sins. God has already forgiven me for all my wrongdoings. I know that. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. God is the highest of high powers. And I have the highest of high powers on my side. And so many people don't have that on their side. They have nothing on their side. They have nothing going for them. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's misfortune. It's sad. And my heart goes out to each and every one of them. There's a reason why people haven't come to terms with controversial stuff. It's because they can't deal with the truth. And as they say, the truth hurts, but the truth shall set you free. Controversy creates cash. Let me tell you, I'm Kent Controversy Jones, and I love each and every one of you. I'm signing off. Thank you. Like the bell, ring the bell, like this video, and subscribe to this channel. You won't be disappointed. I love you. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for watching.